On June 22, 2013, a 23-year-old Adrien Broner captured the WBA welterweight title by defeating Paul Malignaggi, becoming a world champion in 3 different weight classes. He was at the peak of his powers: blinding hand speed, sharp defensive instincts, quick reflexes, and arguably more natural punching power than even Floyd Mayweather. He had everything a fighter could ask for. The talent was undeniable, and the ceiling looked limitless. His rise felt unstoppable. The boxing world was watching, and his mentor, Floyd Mayweather, was openly praising him because the gifts were real. But what Broner had in talent, he lacked in discipline. Even as Mayweather championed his younger protege, he grew increasingly vocal about his concerns. Broner was partying constantly, drinking heavily, and training with no real focus. Mayweather famously admitted in interviews that he couldn't tell whether Broner wanted to be a boxer, a rapper, or something else entirely. The direction was unclear, and that uncertainty would cost him. In 2015, Broner lost to Shawn Porter. And to be clear, Porter was a quality fighter, but on pure talent alone, Broner should have won that fight. He also suffered a damaging loss to Marcos Maidana. Meanwhile, Mayweather continued speaking publicly about Broner's decline, and by 2016, the friendship between the two had quietly dissolved. What followed was a long, painful unraveling. More losses, more legal trouble, more alcohol. The weight piled on, the money dried up, and eventually Broner found himself borrowing from friends, including fellow fighters, just to stay afloat. A man who once had the boxing world at his feet was slowly losing everything he had built. Now it's 2026, and the fall has been total. Things have gotten so difficult that Broner finds himself in situations where he actually has to introduce himself, explain who he is, just to be recognized. I'm actually being very modest here. Listen, I'm a 4-time world champion, Adrien Broner, professional boxer. And the response? Barely a flicker of recognition. He's been appearing on live streams alongside smaller internet personalities, people who once looked up to him. And somehow, in those spaces, he's the one playing catch-up. The dynamic is uncomfortable to watch. A man of his caliber, in rooms where his name barely registers. And then came the moment that really got people talking. On one of those streams, Broner tried to get a woman to kiss him, and her response was that she'd rather kiss the chat.
Nah, I don't play with women. All that playing, I don't play with women, gang. I'm that. I'm really him, bro. I don't care how beautiful a woman is, none of that, bro. I make my own millions. Don't nobody do a round for me.
Boy, you don't sit your stupid ass down. Who the you think you is?
Ah, yes. You make millions?
You know I'm broke, right? You ain't broke. Rich in spirit, though. No, right. Yeah. You give me 1,000, I'll cut my beard. A band? You cut your beard? Yeah. Give me a band, I'll cut my beard.
That's right. From making millions inside the ring to cutting off his beard on a live stream for $1,000. And somehow it only gets worse from there.
Uber.
Yeah, I came in Uber, yeah.
Uber?
I came in Uber, yeah.
You get Uber?
Do I have Uber?
Now he's asking people for Uber money on live streams. The unraveling has been complete and very public. And here's where this story stops being just about Adrien Broner, because for a lot of men watching this, it hits closer to home than they'd like to admit. It's easy to laugh when it's happening to someone else, but Adrien Broner is symbolic precisely because his story isn't as unique as we'd like to believe. Too many men have lived some version of it. There's a line from a 50 Cent record that captures it perfectly. "Damn, homie, in high school you was the man, homie. What happened to you?" That question echoes through a lot of lives. The guy who had everything going for him, the one everybody expected to make it, and then somewhere along the way, something shifted. Some people bounce back, others don't, but the pattern is familiar. You had the money, the respect, the lifestyle, then life happened. A car accident, a health scare, a relationship that fell apart, and suddenly the same people who treated you like a champion are looking at you differently. And the hardest part? In your own mind, you're still that person. You still see yourself at the top, but the world has moved on and you haven't made peace with that yet. That's the crossroads. Do you look honestly at where you are and make the decision to rebuild? Or do you keep living in the past, telling yourself you're still the man you used to be, never taking accountability for how things fell apart? Adrien Broner had a God-given gift, the athleticism, the reflexes, the instincts. Most fighters never develop what he was born with. But talent without discipline is a ticking clock. You have to pair your natural abilities with the right decisions, consistently, not just when it's convenient. So many people move through life believing they're immune to failure, that losses are for other people, but they're not. Nobody is exempt. There's an old saying from the church, that rain falls on the just and the unjust alike. Life doesn't make exceptions based on how talented you are or how high you once climbed. I've seen it up close. I had a friend from my neighborhood, I won't say his name out of respect, who was completely normal, sharp, somebody I grew up with. Then one night somebody slipped something in his drink, and he was never quite the same for a long stretch of years. Lost everything. People laughed at him, and it wasn't even his fault. Thankfully, after a few years, he came back to himself. But for that period, he lost it all. And people who once knew him had no grace for what he was going through. That's the reality. Some of us are one bad night, one wrong decision, one unlucky moment away from a completely different life. When you're in your prime, when the money is there, when the doors are open, that is exactly the time to stay grounded, stay humble, because prime doesn't last forever, and the work required to maintain what you have is just as real as the work it took to get there. The moment you stop delivering value, the moment discipline slips, someone else steps into that space. They may not have your talent, they may not have your natural ability, but if they show up consistently and you don't, they will surpass you. And eventually people will gather around and ask the same question. What happened to him? He had everything going for him. There's a particular kind of pain that comes with falling from a height. It's one thing to never have had it, but to have been at the top, to have had the money, the recognition, the life, and then find yourself back at the bottom alongside people who never had a chance, nothing stings quite like that. So let Adrien Broner's story mean something. Pray for the man, hope he finds his way back. But don't sit comfortably thinking it could never happen to you. Talent is not protection. A name is not protection. One bad decision, sustained over time, can unravel everything you've built. Stay humble, stay grateful, and as Snoop Dogg once put it, be thankful for what you've got. Even if it's just a little bit, it's yours. Stay true to yourself and